So now that I have a fully functional sequencer, thing I'm kind of lacking here is a decent interface. My screen's kind of busy. And this is just one part of a performance patch. It's taking up a lot of space. There's a lot of things I don't need to see or interact with that get in the way of the things that I do want to see. So I want to create a performance interface. Now, in earlier versions of Macs, the way to do this was using some hide objects on lock, or show objects, or hide patch cords, and that's still built in. That's a function of Macs, but it doesn't make sense to design our interfaces using that. Macs introduced presentation mode, which is down here on the bottom with the what looks like a projector screen icon. If I go into presentation mode, see that my screen goes blank because nothing is actually set to be in it. So this becomes a subset that is independently editable of any patcher you're working on. So what I'm going to do is create a presentation interface. Unlock my patch, save it as something new. It's going to be presentation, save it. Now, so I'm in my regular patcher edit. I'm not in presentation mode, and I'm going to add objects to my presentation. So select what you want. I want to have the transport and my program out. I don't really need to see actually the object transport or the program out object. So I can shift click the two of them. I don't need to see the metro or the bang or the counter or the select. I do need to see the number of steps, and I can select the comment as well. I need the preset, but maybe I want to back up a bit. Let me do this. Let's just select this toggle. Right? I'm going to go into Object and Add to Presentation. Shift Command P. Deselect it. You see a little red halo around it. I can right-click an object as well. So if I right-click this number box, the contextual menu brings up Add to Presentation as a choice. Okay, same thing, little red halo. So now if I go to Presentation, and I'm in Presentation Edit mode, I have these two things. So I add it. So let's go up here. I can make the toggle bigger. I can move the program change and go back to, I can actually even start the patch if I lock it. So it's there. Let's go out of presentation mode, and my number box goes back to where it was connected to program out. My toggle resizes back to what I had it. So the changes we make in presentation mode are independent. We can resize objects, we can put them in different places on the screen, and it's there to make a good performance interface. So let's go back now. I can add in more objects, like I said. So I need this, the number of steps, add to presentation. I want my preset object, add to presentation. I could use a few comments, so I'm going to add a comment over here. Start stop. I don't really have to know it's a transport. I need to know it's start stop. And down here, program change. So I'm going to add this, shift click, add these two to the presentation. Then I want the bang to see where I am, the toggle, turn it on and off, the step, the dial, and the number box. They're all together in this group, so I'll take these three first. Add them to the presentation. Then take my note outputs, the note names, so I can see it. Add that. And then I need the sliders. That's the final thing. I don't need pack, step note. I could use a few more comments like step and on, off, and note. and velocity. And I'm going to add all these to the presentation as well. Okay, so now I can go into presentation mode, still in edit, and only those things that I selected show up. Patch chords never show up in presentation mode. I should have commented out the preset, and I can do that. I can add objects in presentation mode, like here's a comment, I can say preset, and when I go back to regular mode, it'll show up. Sometimes it shows up near where you put it, sometimes it moves on its own, or the other objects moving will hide it. So you have to be careful if you're doing that. So start, stop, so I made a big toggle. Start, stop, program change, number of steps in my sequence, preset. And then all this now can be condensed. Bring this up, and I'm going to bring everything up, but I'm going to create a little bit different look. So let's create my step. They're not in alignment. That's kind of no good. So let's make them in alignment, and let's just move that now. So it's kind of in the middle. Move things over. But now also, so the note on is going to get stacked right underneath. The note dial and the note display and the velocity, because I don't need patch chords, I could build a really tightly spaced interface and it's still usable. And decide what kind of alignment I want. I'm going to go with right alignment. Not quite doing it, but I'll go with that. Okay, so now move things over. Pay attention to the guidelines that come up as you move, and you can kind of quickly snap each one into the same place. I can't delete and start over now because I'm editing things that are in my patch and they'll go away. So the whole copy, drag copy thing is out. But that's okay. I can do this relatively quickly. Should have done like a cooking show and had this already made, but I apologize. I mean, I kind of do, but just kind of go through so you see it over and over. I'm just moving everything into line. Got a little bit of a space. I can use my arrow keys to move. I can also, I can take one of these columns and I can align here. It's going to do an auto alignment, puts them all over according to the left. So now I can get them all where I want them to be, and move them up. There's no really fantastically quick way. So I realize most of this video is watching me move things on the screen, but you can see what I can do with an interface. That's why I kept it to 8 steps instead of 16. So let's move some things over. And so now I can save this. I can also, if I select the patcher, go back to regular mode, patching mode is what it's called. I can do a right click on my patch in a blank space and get the inspector window for the patch. And I can have it open in presentation mode. So appearance, style, let's make this a little bit bigger. I have to find presentation mode. It's going to be a checkbox. Disable workspace, start self-patcher, open in presentation mode. It's in your view options. So save that, or I click that, and here's my presentation mode, and it's pretty busy. Go back to patching mode, still does the same thing. So let's lock. Still am switching around. Save it again. Stop it, close the window, go back and reopen the patcher. And opens in presentation mode. It's highlighted because I told the inspector for patcher to do that. Open in presentation mode. So this will be a great help to you when you're designing your performance interface. Makes a much cleaner patch, easier to work with. It also means you don't have to worry about where every cable goes and every object is placed. You can have a logical way of editing your patch and a separate logical way of performing with your patcher. So that's it for today. Have a little fun.